Let's talk a little Dallas Mavericks hoops here on any given Thursday. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. Basketball is back, and the Mavs season is underway. But we're going to focus really more away from the court. And remember Poker Bob, Haralabos Voulgaris? Well, he's gone public, Chase. He did a sit-down interview with Pablo Torre, who hosts the ESPN Daily podcast every morning, Monday through Friday, and spoke on the dysfunction within the Mavs organization with Mr. Pablo Torre. And there's a lot of fascination in here, Chase. So I thought we would just bring this to the show and kind of break it down for you guys. His contract, of course, expired before the season. Cuban actually didn't fire him. They just let the contract run out and didn't bring him back. But let's run through some of these quotes and let's react, because I find this all very fascinating. And if you guys don't remember, this guy was basically an analytics nerd that Mark Cuban hired a few years ago and had a ton of influence on Rick Carlisle's rotations and their draft strategies. So here you go. I never actually wanted to be the guy in charge until it became clear that the guy in charge, that being Donnie Nelson, didn't want me around. But when it became personal, then the competitive part of me started to kind of kick in. Oh, the guy wants me out of here? It never became obvious that he wanted me out of there. You can just read between the lines a little bit. You can kind of see, and just to be clear, the first 2 years or whatever, Donnie was very pleasant around me when I was there. It's just you hear certain things, you learn certain things, you've been told certain things. It was a very gossipy workplace, very gossipy. I didn't have a working relationship with other people in the front office at all, to the point where it was awkward. But that's kind of the MO of the way that front office was run. Surround yourself with people who are not threats. You don't become an NBA general manager and hold your job for that long unless you are very, very good at keeping your job. So he's basically saying that there was dysfunction, that he felt indirectly threatened by Donnie Nelson's presence from times, which I don't like when people do this, Chase, when things don't work out, and then they say, you know what, I've got nothing to lose, so I'm just going to go public and just start gossiping. You want to talk about gossip, Poker Bob? Well, what are you doing now? This is the definition of gossip when this story was over. No one cared about it anymore. So let's ask you this, and then I want to get some of your input on this, Chase. Do you believe Bob Voulgaris and what he's saying? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm sure there's some truth to it, because you don't get that athletic bombshell report unless there is some truth to everything that went down. Let us know what you guys think with a Y or an N.
I think there's some truth to it, just because of the lack of success that the Mavericks have had as an organization. And you think about Mark Cuban, right? Shark Tank, great business investor,
innovative.
Won a championship in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks, very innovative, very progressive, a very, very intelligent guy. But I talk about that championship that the Mavericks won back in 2011. Harrison, that was a decade ago.
Yes.
And the Mavericks since then have not won a single playoff series. So I'm not sure if what Poker Bob said is for real. I do know this. Mark Cuban has to get his shit together, and he has to get this organization on track. There's no reason that in a top 6 market, the Mavericks should be failing to live up to expectations on a yearly basis.
Won a playoff series
and not
then.
Winning a playoff series in an entire decade. You had Dirk Nowitzki, you had some playoff no-shows with him, you finally break through, but since then, you haven't been able to capitalize on that momentum, and now you have a player in Luka Doncic who's put up similar numbers to LeBron James his first 3 years of his career, yet you still can't find a win a playoff series. So again, I'm not sure if what Bob Voulgaris said is true, but there has to be some level of dysfunction within this organization, because well-run businesses have success. Well-run businesses can be sustainable. Well-run businesses don't let stuff like this happen or reports like this get out there. And that's what's happened with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not going to go as far as to say they've been a circus, but they've been like a minor league circus for a bit now.
I mean, just the report from 4 or 5 months ago, and you're like, this analytics nerd
What
was
the hell's
impacting
going on?
playoff or rotations, and then Luka's going to the sidelines. Who's in charge, Rick or Poker Bob? The whole thing is very, very strange. I know this. I'm glad that Voulgaris is out of there. Quite frankly, I'm kind of glad Carlisle's gone too. It seemed time to just go in a totally new direction. I think this team is re-energized under Jason Kidd. Kristaps Porzingis seems re-engaged, which I think that was priority number one this offseason. If you weren't going to trade him, you had to get KP back in the saddle, and it appears that has been the case, at least going into this year, which is a very, very good sign. But man, I would love to watch a mini documentary on the last couple of years of the Dallas Mavericks and who truly was running things, because it's very, very fascinating to see how this is all played out. More from Poker Bob in a minute, but first, BetUS, the best sportsbook partner in the game, and you Mavs fans, we got a promo code for you. Go to chatsports.com/MFFL. Promo code MFFL if you want to bet on the Mavs, if you want to bet on the NBA. How about this? Go bet on the Dallas Cowboys. They're 6-0 against the spread this year. I know you MFFLs are big Cowboys fans as well. Put down $100. They'll give you $125 for free with that promo code MFFL. Put your money where your mouth is and make some money by betting on sports. All right, more from Voulgaris here with Pablo Torre. Quote, Nelson is more of like a wheeler dealer. Like when you shake his hand, you want to make sure your rings are still there. Not in a bad way, which... What do you mean, not in a bad way?
What the hell does that mean?
It's not bad that he might steal your, $500 wedding ring, but he's that guy. He's a deal maker. He's a broker. He also said this: my working relationship with Donnie Nelson was seeing him every once in a while, getting a fist bump. That was it. Whether it was a fist bump text message or a fist bump in person, that was his thing. He was nice and cordial to my face, but I think threatened by me. So... all these statements are basically the same. Number one, he's a total fraud, Chase. Let's just get that out there. He had no credentials to get this job whatsoever, and that's on Mark Cuban at the end of the day. That goes back to what you said. He needs to get his shit together. That's number one. Number two, all these statements to Torre are basically... he throws slime on someone, and then he kind of backs off it by saying, oh, he was cordial with me, but, he's a steal your ring type of guy, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing
We're
is
all
like,
over the place.
hey, here's a fastball to the head, but duck at the last second so it doesn't hit you. That's kind of what it is with these statements. I think, you know what I think? I think he's got nothing to lose. I think he knows that there's a good chance a front office is never going to hire him again, regardless if he's tweeting on his couch about the NBA on opening night like he was. I think he's like, fuck it, man. I'm just going to give my side of things because I was a nobody before this Mavs gig, and I'm a nobody now, so I'm just going to get what I feel off my chest and go from there. And clearly that's what he's done here, and it's all very bizarre at the end of the day. I don't really get it whatsoever. But hey, that's what you get here at Dallas Mavericks Today. We're breaking down everything around this team, even Poker Bob going nuclear on last season, youtube.com/MavsTV. Don't worry, we'll talk some real hoops throughout the season as well. Just thought this was an interesting interview that he conducted. Subscribe, more videos from me and Chase Sr. throughout the NBA season. All right, a couple more quotes here. We'll give some more thoughts, then we'll wrap this thing up. Quote, this is on Luka, his relationship there. If I'm distracting that effing guy, I don't need to be around. Whatever the case may be, no matter how I see it, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. He is the fulcrum of the team, so I was like, cool. Plus, I was trying to find a way out of this job to begin with. Yeah. Imagine finding a way out of a job in an NBA front office. Like, yeah, Bob, get the hell out of Luka's way. How about that? Yeah, cool. Get the fuck out. That's what I have to say, and that's where you are now. You're at home tweeting from your couch about the Indiana Pacers and their high-volume three-point shooting. Yeah, go watch Rick Carlisle and the Pacers this year try to battle for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Like, this guy wears me out. I think guys are losers when they go public and do interviews like this after, like, months after the fact. You see this all the time in sports and politics and, and big news stories, well after the fact. That's all he's doing here. He's trying to get back in the headlines, and guess what? It worked because we're talking about it.
Yeah, like sometimes in life, you meet people and you're like, you know what? There are people you trust and people you don't trust. I think Poker Bob is a guy who you just don't really want to hang out with.
That's why his nickname is Poker Bob.
That's exactly right. You can never really trust people who you're playing poker against because they're trying to snatch your money. And for Poker Bob, I think he was trying to snatch a lot of power. It didn't work out, and he elected to then just go nuclear. I really just don't understand it.
It's all very strange.
And, he's had like these Bill Simmons connections for a while. Maybe Bill Simmons got him hooked up with Pablo Torre, and he's like, you know what, I got to speak on this Dallas Mavericks dysfunction. That's what it is. I just don't see how this helps anybody.
And I will say, my final thoughts here, Bob's a loser. I think you made a good point at the beginning, though. Like, a lot of this is on Cuban. Like, this guy should have never had a job to begin with. The fact that he got any power at all in terms of who to draft and who to play in certain rotations in certain situations, I think that's a big problem. Luckily, he's out of the way now, and Jason Kidd is in charge. What % of the Mavs' issues were caused by Poker Bob the last couple of years? Let us know in the comments. I'm not going to sit here and say it was like 90% or something like that, but I'd say it's at least 30. I mean, when Luka is going to the sidelines at a key timeout and saying, who's in charge, you or Rick, that's a bit of a problem. So let us know. Throw a number out there. What % of problems were caused by Poker Bob?